So the monthly card got revealed today, which meant I had to rush home from work and attempt to get this video out. We're going to talk about what the card is and the obvious comparison that people are going to make to it. We're going to talk a bit about how I expect it will likely be used, and then at the end we're going to end on some problems that I have with the card. So without further ado, if you haven't seen it, there was an article released today kind of announcing the monthly card, and it is Heroic Rebirth. So Heroic Rebirth is a 3-cost neutral support, and you activate it to transform a creature card in your hand into a random legend. Now, there's some additional information that I think is really important, however, in the article. So specifically, in the article it says, it transforms any creature in your hand into a legend, and then has a semicolon specifying a unique legendary creature. Now that's important because, as you know, there are legendary cards in Elder Scrolls Legends that are creatures, but do not necessarily mean that they are unique legendary creatures. So this says unique, and I'm pretty sure that this is, again, how it's supposed to be functioning. I don't think that that's like a typo or them misspeaking or anything, because then further down in the explanation it says, while there is a random component to Heroic Rebirth, you can't go too wrong with unique creatures, right? So what does this mean for the card? Well, it means that you're not going to get like Daggerfall mages and things like that, and it also it means that the cards you're affecting have to be creatures, right? So you can't turn like a non-creature into a legendary creature, so you have to still play creatures, right? And it is random, so you have no choice. This is going to kind of lead into where I expect this to be played, right? So it's neutral, but I fully expect this to be played basically in control decks. Control mage, it feels like an obvious landing point. You might even see some like control spell sword, maybe some offshoot stuff, right? Maybe even control decks like warrior or archer, or maybe even assassin, where they don't necessarily have good late game threats. Control archer has some good control elements, but let's be honest, the top end of agility and strength aren't, say, as good as the top end of endurance and intelligence, right? You're not going to have manticoras when you're playing archer, so it might even end up going there. But the point is that you're going to be playing this in a control deck, and essentially you're going to be using it to turn your dead draws or your early game creatures into late game threats. Like, that's the goal of this card, right? You want to take that Windkeep Spellsword that you're drawing on turn 10 and turn it into, Tazcad, for example. Now, there's no guarantee you're going to get Tazcad, but when you look at the list of legendary creatures available, most of them are pretty good. So that's going to be, where I expect this card to be used. Now, again, I mentioned it earlier, there's an obvious comparison for this card for the people who play Hearthstone. This is very similar to the Starseeker, map Golden Monkey card, right? So the differences between that card and this card, though, is that this card doesn't advance your board. At least Starseeker, you got a body out of it at the time. Now, you also, with Starseeker, then had to wait till you redrew the map and then play that, and then wait till you redrew the monkey. But then once you played the monkey also advanced your board and was actually a good-sized creature, with Taunt, that game's version of Guard, to boot. And then that card replaced everything left in your deck. Now, when you played Control Warrior in that game, you were typically, only playing the monkey when you had a handful of cards left anyway, and so it's not like you were just like raining legends typically with that. You would usually wait till you had somewhere between like 3 and 5, which is going to be very similar to this. Now, the Starseeker card also was a legend in that game, whereas with this card you theoretically could run 3 of them, which is interesting. But yeah, the big difference, at least in my opinion, is that this card doesn't do anything to advance your board state. But as a pro, if you get a bad roll, right? If you're ultra late game and you play this card and you roll Ungulum, and Ungulum really isn't what you wanted because the 1/1 isn't helping you much in that scenario, you can wait a turn and then just re-roll your Ungulum and get something else. So there is that, but yeah, you basically want to be playing this in almost strictly control, I imagine. I could maybe see an argument for a mid-range deck playing this, because if you play a mid-range deck, let's say you're playing like mid-range Sorcerer, you are going to take some of those games to the late game, and then using this card on like an Iliac Sorcerer would be beneficial. But again, because it doesn't do anything to advance the board, you're sacrificing a lot for like weird scenarios, right? Like I would personally rather just play better like mid or even late game threats if I was playing a mid-range deck, but I could see some people experimenting with it. Yeah, control. I really feel like that's just where it's going to be. In many ways, I almost think like you could run 3 of these in control in place of your usual finishers, and then just run lots more early game, right? So normally with control decks, you've got like a package of stuff that you are meant to just survive early game, and then you have a package of stuff for like closing out the game. This card potentially lets you just run even more early game because it's not going to be a dead draw later if you have this. Now that's also assuming that this isn't blown up immediately. That is also a drawback, right? So assuming you play it and you activate it, there's a chance it could be destroyed, so you only get 1 use out of it, and if you got a bad roll, it might not be enough to save you. There are some inherent drawbacks to way this card is. I mean, you still have to pay the cost for the creature that you are getting. Yeah, I don't know. So all that being said, I would like to talk about what I feel is the biggest problem with the card. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not really a big fan of this card. Not because I don't think that it has applications. I think it does. And I can see, a place for this in a lot of different decks. But I don't feel like this is the good kind of random. Now, I'm not like ultra anti RNG. I think that randomness is not only inherent in card games, but kind of required. Part of what makes a card game be based on skilled is variance, is randomness. So you need games to not play out the exact same way every time. There needs to be some element of, okay, this is different, and then I use all of the information available to me to make the best choice, right? And then continuing to identify scenarios and make the best choice is what is skillful in a card game, right? This is one of those cards that makes it difficult to make the best choice. It's not quite like Balmora Spymaster level of variance. That's another card I hate, but we'll talk about that some other time maybe. But it's a pretty high variance. Mundastone's been getting a lot of crap lately, and Mundastone's a 1 in 7, sometimes less if they're playing a creature that already has keywords, right? So compare that to this, right? This card is... so right now there are 23 unique legends in the game, right? That being said, that's unique legends, not legendary creatures. And this very specifically says creatures. So you're not going to get a Wabbajack or a Mundastone or an Orb of Aramirna or a Dawnbreaker from this. So right now you're looking at, I think, number escapes me immediately, but it's like 18 or 19, right? Cards right now. Slightly better than 5% to get any one of those cards with the current card pool. So as more cards come out, this is going to be like even higher in terms of variance. But even with the current card pool, you're looking at slightly better than 5% of getting any one of the cards, which is just enough to bone you pretty consistently, but not enough to effectively plan for, right? And here's what I mean by that. So let's say your opponent plays Heroic Rebirth, and then they activate it. and now it's your turn, and you're having to make a decision, and you are playing around the possibility of what they got from it, right? You're trying to say, okay, if they got something big, then I need to hypothetically, right? Like, I need to hold this piercing javelin in my hand for something big, and if they got something that I don't care about, then, maybe I'm not going to hold it, right? Now, a lot of the unique legends are big, right? So the right play might be, hey, I'll hold my javelin because it's probably, Odaving, it's probably Tazcad, it's probably the poor Dragon Priest who never sees play anymore, right? But there is that probably higher chance that it's one of those, and not say Ungolem, or not say Adoring Fan. But it gets more tricky, right, when you have the ability to, let's say, gain life, right? I got a Pillaging Tribune in my hand, and I'm at like 14 health, and I'm thinking to myself, we'll make it a little bit lower, right? Like, let's make it like 9-ish, right? So I can say, like, okay, I can use my Tribune on a suboptimal target and gain some health this turn, or if I play this other big creature in my hand, the next turn I'll get extra value out of my Tribune. And now I have to decide, what did my opponent get from Heroic Rebirth? Now, it's possible that he got Tazcad, and then with Tazcad and, let's say, his board presence, he can kill me. But it's only like, 6 or 7% chance that he gets that. Well, I also have to now plan for, like, Merrick, right? Because maybe he can play it and get an item on his guy and then swing for lethal. But, I can't really effectively plan for that because I have no idea, right? Like, it's literally a dice roll, and I just can't imagine a scenario where people are going to lose to this card and then feel good about it, and I can't imagine too many scenarios where people are going to use this card and then feel like they won skillfully because they high rolled something ridiculous off of it. Again, I think this card has a place. I think it'll see use, but the variance is so high right now already, and with the addition of more legends later that are unique, it's going to make it really hard to play around. It would be one thing if it was color constrained, right? If it was attribute related. So, you could transform a creature card in your hand into a random, even if it was just a random legend and not unique legend at that point, but it was at least color constrained, then I could say okay, he's playing Archer. Here's the list of things that he could have got from it. But right now, for most people, that list is going to be so big that they can't adequately plan or prepare for it, which is making me, at least on the surface, not really a fan. There's not many cards in Legends that I really feel this way about. I don't even feel bad about Mundustone. I know that Mundustone catches a lot of flack. But like I said, that's at least a 1 in 7 or less, and that going into it. It sucks to lose to it, right? When people get, guard 5 times in a row, and every turn it was the exact thing they needed. But at least what's coming there, right? It's set values, and it's I don't know what the magic number is, but it's less than 10. This feels like I'm rolling a d20, right? It feels like I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm rolling a d20, and if I catch the 1, I critically fail and I just die, right? I don't know. It's not Belmora Spymaster. It's not Moment of Clarity, speaking of cards I hate, but I don't know. I guess we'll have to see it in action. My biggest concern further, right, is Arena. So this card, yes, it's an epic, so it won't show up that often, but this card has the potential to really, really, really throw off some Arena games. It's less likely to be destroyed in Arena, right? Shadowfen Priests, you have to pick a color and get the epic and have them have picked that over something else. Vicious Drow are there, but are often picked in favor, or often not picked in favor of other things because supports don't show up that often in Arena. So this is more likely to stick and give somebody value in Arena. And because of the power of unique legendaries compared to your average power of other things drafted, I feel like this thing could really, really, really throw Arena off. And it's neutral, so it could be showing up in any Arena deck, and then because it gives you a random one, you're now looking at, you know, the Crusader guy pulling a Merrick or something. I just, on the surface, right now, I know a card hasn't been released yet. I might be too harsh, but my knee-jerk reaction as of right now is that I am probably not a fan of the level of randomness and variance that this is going to introduce. So that being said, I'd love to know, you know, what you guys think. You know, you can put something in the comments. You know, maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me. But I just feel, I don't know, the level of variance that this could have. I guess I want to say something else real quick too. So I said it on Twitter earlier today, and it was kind of in relation to this card. Part of the other thing that I'm not a fan of, at least as of late, is that when I played Magic a long time ago, when I was playing that competitively, I was almost always combo, and then if combo wasn't viable in the format, control. Those were my favorite like archetypes to play, and if this card becomes popular, it's going to really make me feel like that I can't really play those, and I'm just going to have to play Smork. Because you're going to want to kill people before they can just like pull random legendaries for turn after turn after turn. Or I'm going to have to play the control mirror and have ways to blow this up, and yeah, I don't know. But anyway, let me know what you think. I think I'm going to end this now before I get more upset or more sad, and I guess I'll say I look forward to next month. We're gonna play with it. We're gonna try it. We're gonna see what kind of memes we can roll with it. For all the kind of flack I'm giving it, doesn't mean I won't use it. I just don't know how excited I'm gonna be about it. So yeah. Let me know what you think. Have a good one. As always, I'll see you next time.